is our horse story for the day. Ron, you can relax, but don't drop your jacket. All right? Can you see what I'm doing?
Yes.
Not really, huh? Okay, a little bit. I'm not in their line of view.
He's okay.
She's okay? Okay. I'll stand a little closer then. All right. People whose marriages last learn to speak to each other and keep on talking to each other when the going gets tough. Trusting that someday God will reveal the meaning of all the chapters of their lives, that from some of the most difficult chapters, something good will come out of that that's eternally good. Now consider this story that Max Lucado shares in his book called In the Eye of the Storm. Has anybody here read In the Eye of the Storm? All right. You guys are ahead of us already. This is the horse story. Once there was an old man who lived in a tiny village. Although poor, he was envied by all, for he owned a beautiful white horse. What color is your horse? Brown. All right. Well, a horse like his had never been seen like that before. It was such a splendor. Its majesty and strength were just awesome. People offered fabulous prices for the steed, but he always refused. This horse is not a horse to me, he said. It's a person. How could you sell a person? He's a friend, not a possession. How could I sell a friend? The man was poor and the temptation was great, but he never sold that horse. One morning he found that the horse was not in its stable. Did you ever find your horse not in the stable? Different story. All the village came to see. You old fool, they scoffed. We told you that someone would steal your horse. We warned you that you'd be robbed. You're so poor. How could you ever expect to protect such a valuable animal? It would have been better just to sell him. You could have gotten twice whatever you wanted. No matter how much the price, it never would have been too high. Now the horse is gone and you've been crushed and cursed with misfortune. The old man responded, "Don't speak too quickly. Say only that the horse is not in the stable. That's all we know. The rest is judgment. If I've been cursed or not, how can you know? How can you judge?" The people contested, "Don't make us out to be fools. We may not be philosophers, but great philosophy is not needed. The simple fact that your horse is gone is a curse." The old man spoke again. "All I know is that the stable is empty and the horse is gone. The rest I don't know. Whether it be a curse or a blessing, I can't say. All we see is a fragment. Who can say what will come next?" Well, the people of the village laughed. They thought the man was crazy. They had always thought he was a fool anyway. And if he wasn't, he would have sold the horse and lived off with the money. But instead, he was just a poor woodcutter, an old man still cutting firewood and dragging it out of the forest and selling it. He lived hand to mouth in the misery of poverty. And now he had proven that he was indeed a fool. You still with me? Just relax your legs a little bit. After 15 days, the horse returned. He hadn't been stolen. He had run away into the forest. And not only had he returned, he had brought a dozen horses with him. Once again, the village people gathered around the woodcutter. They spoke and they said, "Oh man, you were right. We were wrong. What we thought was a curse was a blessing. Please forgive us." And the man responded, Once again, you go too far. Say only that the horse is back. State only that a dozen horses came back with it. How do I know if this is a blessing or not? You see only a fragment. Unless you know the whole story, how can you judge? You read only one page of the book. Can you judge the whole book? You read only one word of a phrase. Can you understand the whole phrase? Life is so vast, and yet you judge all of life by one page or one word. All you have is a fragment. Don't say it's a blessing. I'm contented with what I know. I'm not perturbed by what I don't know. Well, maybe the old man is right, they said to one another. So they said, but down deep in their hearts, they knew he was wrong. They knew it was a blessing. 12 wild horses had returned with one horse. What a bit of work. With a bit of work, the animals would be trained and then sold for a lot of money. That's what you do, right, Trevor? Train them and sell them. Oh, Kaylyn. Yeah. Well, the old man had only one son. And the young man began to break the wild horses. And after a few days, he fell off of one of those horses and broke both of his legs. Once again, the villagers gathered around the old man and they cast their judgments. You were right, they said. You proved it, you were right. A dozen horses were not a blessing. They were a curse. Now your son has broken his legs, and now in your old age, you're not going to have anybody to help you. Now you're poorer than ever. Well, the old man spoke again. You people are obsessed with judging. Don't go so far. Say only that my son broke his legs. Who knows if it's a blessing or a curse? No one knows. We only have a fragment. Life only comes in fragments. It so happened that a few weeks later, the country engaged in war against the neighboring country. All the young men of that village were required to join the army. Only the son of the old man was excluded because he was injured. Once again, the people gathered around the old man crying and screaming because their sons had been taken. There was little chance that they would return. The enemy was strong and the war would be a losing struggle. They would never see their sons again. You were right, old man, they wept. God knows you were right. This proves it. Your son's accident was a blessing. His legs may be broken, but at least he's with you. Our sons are gone forever. The old man spoke again. It's impossible to talk with you. You'll always draw conclusions. No one knows. Say only this. Your sons had to go to war, and mine did not. No one knows if it's a blessing or a curse. No one's wise enough to know. Only God knows. And that's how life is. Things are not always what they appear to be. Even when one of you drives the car back into a truck or something. How do we know if it's a blessing or a curse? We haven't had the final chapter written yet. For the present time, we only look at fragments of information as the situations unfold. But we anticipate a time when God will write the final eternal chapter, and we will see the entire picture of our lives and understand the meaning of those experiences. People whose marriages last trust God to write those final chapters well, and because they look at life with a broad perspective, broader than just the present, they maintain a sense of hope And I pray that God will develop you into people of hope as you put your trust in Him, even when you experience hard times, or when one of you does something really goofy. Here's what the Lord says to you this afternoon.